Coming to you live from Central Florida, The Bacon Show.
All right.
Is
Do you
that
want
the intro?
do you want to start this one? Or is that the yeah, maybe that is the intro.
I think we just did our
All
intro.
right.
Well, we've got some fun news. We got our shots.
Yes. That is. I got mine today, this morning, my first shot. Moderna. My arm is sore.
So you got Moderna, I got
Yeah.
Pfizer,
Okay.
and I pretty much the same. I think it's the same interval, right? Like a 21-day thing. You get the first one, then 21 days later, they want you to go back
It's
and get the second.
it's close. For me, I think it's 28.
28.
28
Okay.
days.
Okay.
I have an extra week I gotta wait.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But it's very exciting.
It's
Ah.
cool. You were telling me about you talked to a doctor at some point who was talking about the mRNA stuff
Ah, so,
and how he was
yeah.
excited.
It was this was probably 10 years ago, maybe. It was a while ago, and we were interviewing an oncologist, so it was about cancer treatment. But this doctor was so excited about this like mRNA technology, and explained it like it was a truck,
Mm.
and you could hook up whatever you needed to on that truck, and then just like drive it into the body, and it'll dump off whatever like specific payload you need for that person. And then and it was cool. It's kind of cool to see that come all the way around to actually being used and shot into my arm.
Right? And it goes to show that this tech has been something that they've been working on and perfecting for quite a while now.
Right.
They didn't just dream it up, last month or
Not
something.
not brand new.
Right? Not brand new.
Not brand new. It's very exciting. I don't know how, but they say there's promise for making a malaria vaccine from mRNA, and I
Ooh.
know cancer treatment, but malaria is, for someone who's been in places where malaria takes a big toll, that's very
Mm.
exciting to me. I think at most years over 400,000 people die of malaria.
Wow.
So
That's insane. Yeah.
that would be incredible.
And I don't know about you, but I've always had a slight needle phobia.
Yeah.
And so when I had my crazy vestibular scenario, which we should make a show on in the future
We
and
should.
just talk about that,
Yeah.
um, I luckily was so worried that I decided the hospital was the best place for me to go,
Mm.
and had more needles in my arms than literally ever in my life.
Yeah.
And so this shot, I was a little apprehensive because it's a needle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh man. But it was like, compared to a needle that's drawing blood or an IV or something, like this is such a small needle. Like I barely felt
Totally.
it.
I barely felt it too. It was,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I always look away,
Oh yeah, of course.
but I barely
Well,
felt it. Yeah. So I'll tell my passing out story.
I've got almost one of those.
I was in my 20s, early 20s, and just starting a job, and I had to go get blood work done and all this. And I hadn't had anything to eat, I think, that
Oh,
day.
oh
And it
no.
was like late morning or early afternoon. And I was already a little apprehensive about getting my blood work done. And they came in and drew the blood. They're like, "So
My
how do
hands
you
are clammy
feel?"
right now.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, no, I feel great." They're like, "Okay, if you can just walk over there." I stand up, and the next thing I know, I
Gone.
wake up, in the hallway in this medical office with a nurse holding my feet up. Somebody else. It was the first and only time I've ever
Oh,
passed out, so I was fascinated by it.
really?
Yeah, so I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
wow.
how long was I out?" I was like, "That was amazing." It was like a movie. It was like it was like everything just kind of closed in.
Yes, you
I should have been more embarrassed about it, I guess, but it was,
you were
it was
you were ready to
fascinating.
do it again.
Yeah. Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
I had an IV at one point, and they they were leaving it open so I could get an injection, but they didn't close it well enough.
Oh,
So I look down and I see just a small pool of my own blood
Yeah.
on the side, and that was enough for me to feel like, okay, why don't we take a nice long break?
That was it. Yeah. Is it
Er,
just
er,
is it just your own blood? Is it other people's blood?
it's blood,
Any of that?
period. Early
Okay.
on, I realized that the medical field was not for me,
Right.
so I moved quickly into graphic design from there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not. I filmed an open heart surgery not too long after I passed out, so I found out I was okay with other people's blood.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
No, that would not have been, I could not have done that.
Not good for you. Yeah.
Probably not good for me. So that is really good news. I think, I don't know, I'm ready to kind of just get out and about without having to fear, possible infection or transmission of COVID. So,
Yeah. Me too. I also want to. I'll be happy when I stop judging people based on how they're wearing their mask or how far away they're staying from me in a store.
exactly.
Because I do that, and I'm not going to stop until I think,
Oh,
hopefully, until most people are vaccinated. But
right.
it's it's
How,
exciting.
I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what one more year of this looks like, how far we go in a year.
Yeah.
Because if this is endemic and always around, then are we just going to get used to having to stay a little bit farther away from people than we normally would have? Or at least maybe is it always on our mind? I don't know.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all shakes out. It's
Very much
right
so.
now. It's a race. Everybody needs to get their vaccine.
That is correct.
Yep.
CVS, mine was pretty easy.
Nice.
CVS, I
did
was
the
in and
Publix.
out in 15.
Me too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super fast.
Yep.
As soon as they said I was good to go and not having an anaphylactic reaction,
Correct.
I was out of there.
Well, I wish everything was easy like that. Like, we should wrap up some thoughts on this free will conversation that we had. That's been a challenge to wrap my brain around.
I know. I kept thinking about it and listening back. There's so much that I just don't know anything about in this category with free will. But I ran into a guy this last week called Dan Barker, who wrote a book about free will, and I thought his position was really interesting. It's kind of a compatibilist position, I think, is the correct term, which means he believes in determination. Is that right?
Determinism.
Determinism, yeah. So he believes in determinism, but he also thinks that the illusion of free will is a good illusion and that we should continue it. So I don't think he's like a strict compatibilist. Because a compatibilist, I think, I'm going to read it straight from the definition I got so I get this right, believes that, yes, free will is determined, but you have something that approximates free will at a higher level.
Oh,
Is kind of a compatibilist. So compatibilist, if I can say it right, kind of believes both. Kind of like has their cake and eats it too, to some extent. But I thought Dan Barker's points were kind of interesting because he thinks that it's a positive, like, social convention that we have evolved to, and it serves us well as social humans. Yeah, go ahead.
It definitely seems like the idea that one should be responsible for their actions is something deep inside of humans. Like, that's definitely part of our
Right.
social fabric.
Right.
So I could definitely see his argument saying that, well, that's so ingrained in how we operate already. Continuing that helps that process along. And I don't know of anyone who's advocated for the idea of getting rid of, laws or rules or keeping society safe, as an
Right.
example,
Right.
because maybe those are part of the external things that help people make decisions to not hurt other people and things like that.
Hmm.
But the idea of keeping it or having this illusion or keeping this illusion as a benefit to us, it is a fascinating thing. Did he say anything about like what he thinks would happen if it suddenly all fell down?
He
Like,
didn't, no, not from the interview that I was listening to. I wish he talked a little bit more about that, and I wanted him to
mm,
talk a little bit more about like the role that he sees it play in our social like conventions, because he didn't
yeah.
talk a lot about that. He did give some interesting um, kind of examples. So he said depth perception is an illusion. We know it's an illusion, but it's an illusion that we embrace and that is good for us as humans. And so he's like on a science level, he's saying
All
like,
right.
this is an illusion along with, other illusions that he was saying that we have,
Mm.
but in the end are good for us and help us function as humans. I was like, okay,
I can see that.
okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting one. Another one that he talked about was race. He
Mm.
said scientifically race is not even a thing,
Right.
but try telling that to someone who's suffering from racism,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So it's yeah, and he seems to be of the position like that. It's not even an argument that he's interested in free will, no free will. It's
Got
like
it.
it's two different. You're arguing a scientific thing versus a social thing. It's not. It's like arguing
Ah,
marriage in science. How can you
sure.
argue a social convention?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Totally.
so I thought that was kind of interesting, kind of a fascinating thing that I didn't even know existed until the last week. That kind of
Right.
position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely sits in the middle of kind of both camps and pulls the best out of both.
Yeah.
Like we'll just be right on the fence.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, it's such a interesting and difficult topic that I'm not even sure matters that much. In the end.
Well, the only thing I take away from this is I can no longer feel bad about eating that ice cream
That's right.
last week because it's like, I would have always ate that ice cream.
Yeah,
So it's fine.
I like that part about it for sure. I like some of the other like determinism things too, like the justice system where
Mm,
where you take away the punitive
yeah.
side of that. I think there's a lot of positive things that could be done there.
Yeah, I tend to agree. And I think where our current culture is when it comes to wrongdoings and especially on the social nature, is there, I mean, there has to be a way for people to walk back from some sort of wrong that they might have committed, even if it's years ago,
Right.
and enter into this place where they can recover from it to some level.
Yes.
And maybe that's one small step in that direction.
Yeah. I hope so. And especially in the US, we have to get away from the concept that going to jail is to punish you and not to
Mm,
rehabilitate and get you back into society.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, free will, it seems like a book where there's a first chapter and a last chapter, and the rest is is to be written. That's how I feel about it right now, at least in my brain.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Speaking of next chapters, I mean, this is our fifth episode now, right?
Yeah, five.
Episode 5.
5 episodes in.
Whew. I mean, we've been doing this practically forever.
It feels like it, right? Especially to the listeners.
We know all three of you out there listening,
That's right.
and we want to say thank you.
We appreciate you.
No, but it's been kind of, I guess, it was we started this maybe as an experiment in a way to, I think, I know for me, to help me get more comfortable talking into a lens and speaking in complete sentences and, some of the more normal things grown-ups do.
Right.
So it's been good practice for that.
Me too. Yeah, the same for me. I mean, I find the hardest thing for me as someone who doesn't speak well to begin with, maybe, is to try and convey complete thoughts.
Right.
Because usually they
Yeah.
just live up here, and I either have to get them down on paper or make a film about it or whatever, and that's one thing. But to verbalize it,
Yeah.
that's difficult for me.
Exactly. Yeah. This is like a mini Toastmasters that we go to every week where we
Totally.
stand up but I don't get to see all the watchers' faces. So it's a little bit easier in a way.
Totally. A lot easier.
So maybe this is the cheat code,
uh,
but
yeah.
it's a little nerve-wracking posting it on my social media, I have to say, because
Yeah.
I know I'm going to send it out to people who may be watching. But at the end of the day, I guess I have to keep telling myself, if I'm enjoying it, then that's really all that matters. And obviously I don't want people to hate what we're doing, but
Right.
you know uh inspiring good conversations, I think, is a byproduct of what we want to do here. But
Yeah.
I think that will come.
I think so too. I feel like practice makes better.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, when we look back on the first 5 episodes sometime in the future, we're going to be amazed at how much better we are then. I one thing that's kind of interesting to me is that I'm used to interviewing people.
Mm,
And so another thing that's been difficult is to kind of trick my brain into talking, into having me talk instead of just listen.
right.
Because all my like interview tricks are basically to say nothing until the other person is uncomfortable enough that they spill their guts.
It's a fantastic trick.
It is. It works. It works almost every time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is awkward, knowing that the silence, that you have to fill it now as opposed to just waiting for them.
Right.
Like, oh no, what do I say next?
There's a sports guy that I listen to, Tony Kornheiser, who has a podcast, and he says he does a daily. He used to do a daily podcast. Now it's like 3 times a week, I think. But he used to say, "You think
Mm.
this is easy?" He's like, "Fine, go do your show every day. Your Monday show is going to be easy. What's your Thursday show?" Now I feel like I understand that a little bit more.
Thursday's trouble. Thursday's canceled.
That's right.
That's what happens.
That's right.
I was just gonna say, I know at times coming up with subjects to talk about and stuff is not always easy. And so maybe a format that will see that we liked or worked will start to evolve. That perhaps is something, I think, as we do this, may emerge into something more structured.
Yeah. I think that's true. We'll have to work on that a little bit.
Exactly. And if there are topics that anyone in the audience would like us to talk about, then we're always listening. So yeah,
Yeah.
share, and we can go over anything. One thing we were thinking about, I know we talked about it before, Mike, is talking a little bit more about some of the stuff we know. Filmmaking is something that you've done for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue what I would talk about. I would just shake my head and say, that's amazing.
You do stuff.
I do some stuff.
You do. You run your own business.
That is true. That is true.
That's
I could try to convince people to not do that ever.
yeah.
No. It's actually been great. But yeah, I mean, I guess uh, working independently and stuff could be something that we talk about.
Yeah.
I was thinking it would be great to also talk in the future about where we'd like to take our careers from here. Because I think about that quite a bit, and I don't know if it's the place, that midlife mark where you hit that the
Right.
questions comes up like, is this really what you're going to do till you
Right.
retire?
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
maybe I could switch it up. You
I
never
think
know,
about that.
maybe.
I think about that too. I'm trying to put together a video now. There's a wine company in Sonoma, California, that is offering a dream job.
Oh,
It's you get to work with them for a year. They pay you $120,000. They give you free rent for a year, and they'll pick someone out of a 60 to 90-second video that's submitted. So
wow.
I was like, well, that might, why not? Just submit a video,
Why?
see what happens.
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
So yeah, I've got a lot of those questions too. I've always been really bad about trying to make career goals and that kind of
Mm.
stuff. I remember early on in interviews, people would ask me, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" or "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" And I would usually honestly answer, "I have no idea." Like that's 5 years from now. How would I know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, is it even worthwhile trying to plan 5 years? Well,
I
I guess if you have this master plan, you can put something together that walks you down that road, but so many things could change. It's hard to make any kind of real strong detailed outline of where that might lead, but it is a tough question.
It is, yeah, it is. I'm sure it would be a good exercise for me to do something,
Mm.
something like that. I think my goals for the most part have usually been to just try to keep getting better, so that I feel
Mhm.
like I'm in position when an opportunity comes that I can take it or try to
Yeah,
take it.
yeah.
But beyond that, I've never really made any career goals.
Yeah, and there's this whole follow your passion kind of conversation, and then there's the anti follow your passion conversation, which is to say following your passion is a bad idea. And I don't know, I kind of feel like I can get conflicted there because we all want to be parts of society, and at least meaningful parts, meaning that, you have to have an income
Right.
and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I wouldn't want to do it doing something that I didn't have any kind of satisfaction in. Like that would be tough.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, I can from job to job, even if I'm working on something that's more meaningful than less meaningful, I can totally feel like how less driven I am
Right.
if I don't find any meaning in some of the work that I'm doing, which I don't
Ex-
probably. But you got to pay the bills.
exactly, right? Like not everything has that really strong emotional connection to.
Yeah,
So I've said now that I just want to start doing more of the things that I am at least interested in,
mm,
because I don't know what could come from that, but at the same time, I'm chasing something that I'm interested in, but I have to be unapologetic about, saying, well, I tried it and I didn't really care for it, so I'm going to try something else.
yeah, totally.
I think the challenge is feeling like at my age, I should have all of that figured out and not feeling bad about wanting to, explore different types of work or anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, wouldn't it be great to always wake up and feel like I don't know what today's going to bring, but I'm going to learn something interesting? Like
totally.
that to me,
Yeah,
that sounds like utopia. Might be completely impossible, but at least we can strive for it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I don't know. I don't know. My wife did a career change a couple of years ago, and has been very successful at going from animation work to becoming a speech language pathologist, which is not an exactly connected career path.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I know things like that can be done.
There you go. Yeah.
But we'll see if you can do stuff like that without going to school for 3 years first.
Well, yeah, clearly there's hurdles depending on what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I can not work for myself. Like, I love having my own clients. I love providing value to them. Like, I don't think I think I'm completely unemployable at this point.
I don't think I'm too far behind you.
I'm glad very few people watch this, so I could say that.
I don't think I'm too far behind you. I really, it would be tough.
I like having my own structure that I can implement in the day. And of course, you know, I want to make sure my clients are taken care of. So they're going to be high on the list. But, you know, I've got some level of autonomy where I can order things the way that seemingly make, you know, most sense for not just work, but work plus life, right, or work plus whatever. That's been really nice to have. So thankful for that.
Yeah, that's really nice. I think I'm close to you with the unemployment part. It would be tough to find a job. Mm-hmm. It would have to be something pretty good.
Exactly.
Or all of my outside work would have to dry up.
Right.
Which totally could happen.
Exactly. I live in fear of that.
Right.
Well, this has been one interesting, unstructured,
yes, it has,
episode of The Bacon Show. And I'm still not sure why we keep calling it The Bacon Show. If anyone has a fun idea for the name of our show, go ahead and send that to us as well. Comment down below, like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.
I'm Mike.
I'm Stefan.
That was The Bacon Show.
Yes, it was. And cut.